out on VOD today. Go out and get it, guys. I've been wanting to make this video for a while. This is my third viewing review, actually fourth. I've seen Superman four times now. 5 if you're about to count the VOD that I'm about to see and edit tremendously. It is an exciting time to be a Superman fan. I am so happy. I am so grateful that James Gunn understands Superman and gives us a more human, a warm Superman who's filled with hope, who has flaws, who, you know, tries to rise above them, puts one boot on it at a time, and goes out there and does the best that he can, and is a symbol of hope and an example for others. And my opinion on Superman 2025, the first film in the new DCU, has evolved over time. A lot of people were surprised when I gave Superman a 6 out of 10. I said that it was slightly above average in my initial review. And honestly, you know, I don't think that way anymore. There are a few things that just rubbed me the wrong way that I couldn't accept at the time, and that lowered my score, and I'll get into exactly what I couldn't accept. But, you know, there's a lot of films like that that I have grown to love and appreciate. Let me give you an example. So, The Mist. You know, The Mist, you know, and the ending of that movie, when I first saw it, it's one of the first those types of endings that I've seen. I won't spoil it here, but I fucking hated the ending, you know, initially. But over time, I ended up liking it and appreciating it. Any films like that can kind of make me think more. I'm a big fan of A24 films, and often a lot of those films are very off-putting at first and deal with you know, initially it has a style that grows on you, and there's different layers that you can unpack, and you see what the artist was trying to do, and I have seen that with James Gunn's Superman over time. Now, you know, seeing it so successful in the United States didn't do so well in the rest of the countries internationally. We can talk about why, I think, but here it in the U.S. it did so well, and that to me is everything. You know, especially in this time. A lot of people tried to tear down Superman. A lot of weirdos and right-wingers and Fox News tried to jump on this and tear him down, and grifters and shit. And it was hilarious seeing them bounce right off of Superman. They couldn't do shit about it. Nobody was buying their snake oil with regards to Superman. And it was amazing. It's, you know, one of those few wins that it's like you tried your best to bring him down. You couldn't. One of the most successful Superman films in the United States in ever. And it was a big hit. Unfortunately, because the international numbers weren't up to par, it didn't reach those insane levels. And but WB has already come out and said, yeah, this is a success for us. It seems like James Gunn is already fast-tracking more Superman. Initially, I thought it was World's Finest with Batman. I thought it was Batman v Superman. I thought maybe it could be the Trinity. But I think I've done a lot of research and interviews, and he says, no, it's none of those. It's something that people may not expect. And I think I've pinpointed what it is based upon his recent comments. It's the Superman saga. To me, and it's revealed in a lot of these behind the scenes that are going to be on the DVD, going to be on like the 4K UHD Blu-ray and all that shit, that it's probably more than likely going to be a team up. It's going to be a Superman family film, Superman and Supergirl and Brainiac. That is what I think is the next one. He says it's a Superman sequel, but it's not necessarily Superman 2, and I think that's what it is. It's essentially Superman 2. It isn't. That would be so fucking exciting. I've always wanted to see Brainiac on the screen, and not the Flash version of Brainiac with the spider and all that shit versus Nick Cage, but an actual version of Brainiac. You know, Christopher Reeves in the comics, they continue Christopher Reeves' storyline, and there we got a little bit of Brainiac, but it would be cool to see it in live action. And it's a great fucking time to be a Superman fan. You know, the comics are doing better than ever. You go to your local comic store, they say the Superman comics are selling well. Supergirl, Krypto, new interest across the board. I have videos. Check out the top 10 Superman comics. If you guys want more, I have 10. I actually have 20 more Superman comics that we can get into. But yeah, and in terms of hype, in terms of energy, in terms of new bringing Superman to the mass audiences, this film is like a fucking 10 out of 10. And I said it before, if you see what I see in Superman, if this film helps you to see that, it's a fucking 10 out of 10, you know? And my fan brain was always rating it higher, but my critic brain still has some problems with the film. And some story elements and some things, but I've learned to grow and you know, like some of the things that initially rubbed me the wrong way. But there's still some things that I refuse to acknowledge or enjoy. It's just not for me. So let's go over some of those right now in celebration of Superman being out on VOD. Go buy it. You know, a lot of people think, oh, well, if it doesn't make this much money, then it's over. There's a whole secondary market. You know, a lot of films actually explode in DVD sales back in the day. VHS, the home market, which is now VODs. So the home market there, though you still have, you know, DVD commentary and all the special features on the physical media. But then you have, you know, video on demand, which, you know, some people, oh, well, it's not as much as it used to be. No, it's actually 3 times the size of that shit back in the old days. So a lot of films have even more legs and generate even more profit for the studios, and I think that is what is going to help Superman as well. And then all the marketing deals, all the different things, the brand deals that are bringing in money for you know, the DCU is still going. So let's jump in to what led to -4 points from me. What led from Superman going from a 10 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10? What could I not take? Well, I'm going to take all the positive points. I'm going to be dressed as Superman. I'm going to take all the negative points, and I'm going to be dressed as Nuclear Man. Destroy! Destroy Superman!
Destroy Superman.
But first, I have fun. You'll get it. You'll get it. Here, play the clip. Every time the film has something bad, I'm going to show up as evil Nuclear Man and tell you the negative thing, okay?
Destroy Superman. First, I have fun.
Maybe not all the time, because it's hard to get out of that costume and put that costume back on and do it over and over. But essentially, the first bad thing that I think the film has is a few things. There's the pacing, what they do to Ma and Pa Kent, I can't get into. Superman needing to be a little bit more assertive with some of his views, and a few other things that I'm going to save for later. But I'm here to tell you the bad things. And if you don't agree, I will hurt people.
If you will not tell me, I will hurt people.
The biggest thing was, you know, and I'm trying to avoid spoil. It's the third one here, so, I mean, the movie's been out for a while. It's now on VOD. I'm going to mention that there's this plot line with Superman's parents. So the first thing that I evolved on, and this was upon repeated viewings, the insane breakneck pace that I complained as being similar to a TikTok pace or a Minecraft pace, it's still there. And that's still going to hold back the film from being a complete 10 out of 10, and high rankings, because there's many times where the film is not allowed to breathe. A lot of the stuff is either undercut by a joke almost immediately, or it's just the fast pace. One example is, the kaiju battle, which I have some problems with as well. Once Superman's trying to assert himself, and I want to get the conclusion of it, it just immediately cut off when we go into the next scene. So before one scene is finished, we're already starting the next scene. And that's when it's revealed that his parents have this message for him that starts the conflict of the movie, and a lot of people lose faith in Superman. And so that is always a pacing issue that I didn't like. And what has evolved over time with repeated viewings, all that stuff comes together. And it's less of an issue upon seeing it again. You see where he's heading. It's still there, but it's lessened. So this, upon repeated viewings, the pacing of the film has improved. You kind of know what to expect as it's coming. And I guess I'm an old fart. I'm an old man. I like those older films. Now, I probably don't want to go all the way to the 70s where the fucking films were at a snail's pace and it's a slow burn and it's so slow, it's so boring. I like more the 80s, 90s where there's some pace to it, but then, there's moments to breathe and soft and quiet moments to give more impact to the moments of action and the fast ones. Lately, 2020s, we've been having films that are just like, it's just really, really fast, and it never fucking slows down. And I think that kind of harms some of the emotional moments in the film, but not all of the emotional moments in the film. The next big one that I evolved on, this is a huge one that put me off. Turning Kal-El's parents evil. And, they're not necessarily evil. Upon rewatching, they're more benevolent. They're more dismissive of humanity. They haven't done the research. They haven't been on the planet to see what Superman sees on it. There's a small chance that their minds might evolve on humanity, and they might consider themselves wrong if Kal-El was to explain to them certain things. But this is their kind of prejudice against other races. Kryptonians saw themselves being superior. And in Man of Steel in the comics, from certain comic writers, this was kind of the attitude of the Kryptonians. So it's really not that far off. Hell, in Smallville, they made kind of an AI version of Jor-El, kind of evil, and have this same kind of thing as well. So it's an idea that is not out of nowhere, that does have some basis in the comics and some ability to be used in a feature film if it's used well enough. And when it just rubbed me wrong the first time, really poorly, because I felt like it robbed Superman of his goodness. But upon rewatching, I think it does the opposite. I think it makes Superman himself, a character, even stronger. That this idea that, he was always good. His parents are paragon of goodness and truth and justice on their planet, just as they would be on Earth. And he's good by default. Then he comes to Earth and he's good by default. And then he has his Kansas parents raise him to instill all the values that we hold dear here. And he's good by their, help. And it became layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, where actually, when you think about it, kind of takes some agency away from Kal-El, away from Clark, away from Superman and the person that he is. And in this film, what James Gunn is trying to do by bringing this story up, by showing that, is to challenge Superman and who he thinks he is. And it's so fucking beautiful. when his father speaks to him and basically says that, parents really shouldn't tell the kids exactly who they are and who they should be and all this stuff, that they should be given the tools to do right and given all the things necessary for them to make the decision on their own. And he eventually says, the choices that you make define who you are.
Your choices, Clark, your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
And so to me, that Superman is Superman because he's Superman, because he's chosen to be good. He's chosen to protect people instead of tear them down. He's chosen to be the defender of the defenseless. And not because, oh, it's his birthright and, oh, his parents did it, so I'll just do it too, and this and that. It's the fact that he remains a good person and is not going to change who he is when he realizes, oh, the Kryptonians or my parents may not hold the same values that I do. And that is fucking powerful.
I'll tell you something, son. I couldn't be more proud of you.
That's powerful for the Superman character. That's powerful for, an audience surrogate that you might find that, because it does both. You may have been raised by parents that are fucking amazing, and that's the Kansas parents. Or you may be raised by parents that you just like, what is wrong? What is going on? It's like, why do you think this way? What's wrong with you? And you make your own choices, and that's who defines you as a person. And so that's even stronger. And by the end of the film, and it didn't hit me as hard as it hit me on second and third and fourth viewing. I was emotional when Clark and Kal-El is at the end of the film after this huge fucking battle, after this exhaustive week that was crazy. Gary, the robot, Superman robot says, "Would you like for me to play the clip from your parents?" And Superman says, "Yes, that would be nice." And he plays the clip, and instead of the Kryptonian parents, it's his Kansas parents and their home movies. That little kid running to his dad. I still feel that. I feel that hard, because when I'd stay at my grandma's house and my dad would show, she'd take care of me, and then my dad would show up through the door. Whoo! I'm sorry, I'm crying a little bit. That running in, and he'd come and pick me up and, take me home, and I was just so excited to see him. And, you have these moments from your childhood that are just like filled with such happiness and are seared in your brain, and you play over and over, as these core memories. And that's what you see there, just, pure love. And it's fucking beautiful. And the good times, when we were all children and we were just having fun and we didn't have a bunch of responsibilities and shit weighing us down in the fucking ugliness of adulthood and the world out there. It's so good. It's so pure. And he realizes that, these are his parents. They've always been his parents. They've raised him. And when he's fucking smiling at the end, oh, shit, man. That shit hit so hard. I teared up in the theater. I'm tearing up now. And, and that stuff affects you, especially, if you love your father. And, Superman clearly loves his father. I love the fact that, both parents, are there. They don't kill off one for a cheap, emotional fucking moment that doesn't make sense in Man of Steel. That's one of the parts in Man of Steel that I hate tremendously and I still don't like. But, this film does have things that I don't like, and one of them pertains to Ma and Pa Kent that I'll get to in a minute. But that alone, that and how it serves the story, and it puts a fucking bow tie at the end, and it's a theme throughout the film. And you know, that Superman's decisions and his actions to be the person that he is, amazing. That's a +1 point. When initially I saw it, I was mad at it. I closed my brain off and I was unwilling to hear the rest of it or accept it. Upon rewatching, that has completely changed. And you know, some people are still fighting for, oh, the message was translated poorly. No, James Gunn has laughed at that and said, no, I tried like 6 different times to say it in the film. How do people still think that it's a fake message? It's not.
It's got to be doctored.
No way, Clark. I know there's computer forensics guys. They're not going to say it's legit unless they are sure.
You buying this?
I don't put anything past Luthor, Rick. But the message is authentic.
This is the real, this is the way it was intended. You know, I do think that Kara can explain this more, but no, somebody asked James Gunn that. He's like, what would he know about Superman's parents? She's probably from a different city, doesn't know them as well. We're going to see exactly what Kara's experiences are and why, you know, and she can explain some of this. And I am curious, and I hope there is a scene in the Superman saga that deals with it. But I think that taking this bold direction, every good Superman should have some bold, controversial decisions. And so as long as it works out, so as long as you put some thought into it, you could still hate it, but it has purpose, and it serves the story. And ultimately, while I hated it at first, I love it now, and I think it's great. And again, it doesn't disclude the fact that, you know, maybe his parents would, you know, have changed their minds. It doesn't mean they were terrible people on Krypton. You know, it could be that they were good people on Krypton as well. It's a little extreme. We'll have to figure out how the hell they're going to explain some of that in the future. But that is, if that's the way it is, then fine. I'm willing to accept that. You know, for example, Zack Snyder did the bold decision of Superman kills. My Superman kills somebody, and he kills somebody on screen in a very deliberate way in order to save people. And my Batman just fires machine guns and fucking kills people. That's just what I want. I want an edgy Batman. And if you knew what Zack Snyder wanted to do with Batman originally, which they wouldn't allow him to do, where he was, you know, and taking advantage, like there's some wacky shit that Zack wanted to do, and you know, it wouldn't have worked out. And I defended that decision when Superman killed, when he snaps Zod's neck. And I said, if Superman is driven to kill, which by the way, James Gunn says that this Superman would kill.
Yeah, I believe he believes in a basic right to life. I mean, I think that that's just not in him. But I also I'm not a purist in that respect. I think that if, for instance, he had to kill to protect somebody's life, he would probably do that, even though that would be hard for him.
So it's the very same. So if you complain about that, then you also have to complain about it here. And I expect that James Gunn will play with this. I do think that James Gunn needs to be told that there's always another way. Yes, your Superman's willing to kill. He even drops a line in it. It has to be somewhere around the Peacemaker cameo part.
Guys like this, they always get a whole bunch of dark, ugly secrets.
What do you mean guys like this?
Thinks he's better than everybody else. Makes this declaration he's against killing people unless it's absolutely necessary. Really, dude?
But he needs to be told that there is always another way, and that's what makes Superman special, that he never gives up on that other way. And I would like for that to become canonized if he has an opportunity in the future, and he needs to assert himself a little more. That's another weak thing about this particular Superman. He's a little bit of a pushover. Superman is pushed around by his friends too much. Kill Superman. First I have fun. He's supposedly been working for 3 years. It's time to grow a backbone. When the Justice Gang and your friends show up and they fucking murder a creature and you're like, guys, stop it. Maybe we can take him to a intergalactic zoo. We can find a way. You know, maybe this creature is searching for its child. We don't know. Instead of just brutally murdering it and then being nonchalant about it, oh, hey, oh, well, dang, I was hoping that we would do this. No, you say, stop it. Don't do that again. And, get Superman serious. He needs a tiny bit more of the authoritarian, of that stoicness for things that he believes in. And I think we just need to crystallize his morals and his values, and then you can have that come out. Right now, he's a little, he's a little weak on certain things. And that, brought a little bit of this interpretation and depiction of Superman down initially. But that doesn't mean that he can't grow from here. And so I wanted to address that as well, the kaiju part. So you have the Superman's parents, the kaiju part.
Superman's parents are played for a joke. Destroy Superman.
Fuck it, let's just get into it. The other part that was holding back the film, I do not like Ma and Pa Kent being depicted as podunk.
Hey, Clark. Me and Pa just wanted to call and say congratulations on that front page, boy.
As being hillbilly. I'm screaming into the phone. Is this how phones work? Yeah.
That is something.
Hey, ask Mom if she barbecued up any good roadkill lately.
Shut up, Steve.
Like a possum or chitlin.
No, maybe that would have worked 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but I just don't feel like it works now.
We don't want to keep you, but wanted to say congrats and tell you we're thinking about you, Clark.
I know James Gunn, and it's a creative decision. He wanted them to be the salt of the earth. He wanted them to be, regular folk. But I think it's just depicted a little too hard here. And they said, all right, let's roll that back a little bit.
Pa says, don't be a stranger.
I heard him, Mom.
But the morals and the values of these two parents do still come out by the end. One of the few times that the film slows down is when Paul Kent comes out, when Clark is sitting there after recovering, and he's like, hey, that girl's, pretty nice, Mary Ann or whatever, he gets her name wrong, and he's just like, it's Lois, and they share this beautiful moment that helps, that through line about Superman's parents and who he is. And so it's still there. It's not as bad as some people make it. And initially upon rewatch, I hated it. I hated it when I first saw it. I hated it when I second saw it. But it's now I'm in the middle on it, and you can't push me anymore. I don't kind of like that. I don't want them to become jokes and caricatures, and it's dangerous, and it's bordering on that. So that one I still am confused on.
Pa says, don't be a stranger.
One of the things is in the fights, when he's fighting the engineer and Ultraman, and he flies up, his plan didn't make sense to me initially. I think when you first see it, you're like, what was Superman's plan here? And I think ultimately, upon seeing it, I said, oh, this is more obvious to me now. He's trying to deprive the nanobots of oxygen, of air. So the engineer herself still needs air to breathe. Maybe only temporary. She can't hold her breath as long as Superman, perhaps. And so, and the nanobots are trying to deprive Superman of air. So he's trying to go up there, and I think that with that, when he knocks her unconscious, when he's doing his power bomb, it could also be the fact that he fucking loves the power bomb move, and he's always using the power bomb move, and he's essentially, if you guys aren't going to let go of me, then I'm going to power bomb us all. And Lex makes a critical mistake by saying, wrap him up in more nanobots.
Engineer, envelop him completely.
which actually gives Superman, unfortunately, more protection. So Lex makes a mistake. The engineer's limitations are there. When she slams in, she's knocked out for good for the rest of the film. Now, Ultraman and Superman can take it because they're higher levels, invulnerability levels, but she's knocked out, and when she's knocked out, all of her nanobots lose consciousness, lose power, and he's able to easily pull out the nanobots. So where I was like, huh, you know, it has way more impact upon second and third viewing and fourth viewing. And then the battle with his double, with this clone, this evil clone version of him. It's so cool upon repeat watching. In fact, you know, I liked it the first time, but I like it even more. He has that long hair, sinister look about him. He almost looks like Henry Cavill a little bit. So you kind of get this old Man of Steel versus new Superman thing. But even without that, even if it's just David on David looking like badass and fighting, I hope this is not the end that we see. And again, in interviews, he said that he's not necessarily dead. This is not a confirmed kill. So that takes him to a different area, and that character is still available for use in the future. In case you were worrying, oh, will do Superman kill in this movie? Technically, it kind of seems like he does, but James confirmed that that's not exactly the case there. So I really liked that fight, and it is brutal. And the way they spin and move. And recently, Superman's stunt double showed off some of the moves. And man, this shit looks so fucking good. Look at this. And it's wild that with seeing the wires on there and seeing the camera more static and seeing a longer, wider shot, it seems to have more impact, and some of the moves are a little more clear. And that's the other problem and why I felt the film, you know, I deducted points because of the cinematographer. This Flash cinematographer, I just don't like. Sometimes I like what he's doing, but other times he has a distinct style, fisheye lens, big old fucking head, you know, and then the action is also very close and sometimes filmed. And so this is kind of proof that you see that's behind the scenes stuff, and it actually looks sometimes more impressive than it does when you put on all the CGI and all the effects and all the stuff there. It's pretty crazy to me. Another reason why I kind of held the film back is it's not cheap looking, but it's not expensive looking. It doesn't look like the budget of $225 million. I've seen, you know, budgets of other movies that seem to be more effective. The cinematography. And I don't know why the budget doesn't really translate as well on screen here. The cinematography. The outside of the Daily Planet and the Fortress of Solitude, it all kind of looks cheap to me. The Lex office is a little lacking. The Pocket Universe is a little lackluster. And why is there a pixel river there? Is this fucking voxel pixel river that just is too much like Minecraft? I didn't like it. Now, it's very comic booky. I get it, but that's more like a Marvel comic booky. Well, no, it just kind of dumb looking. And I didn't like it. And I just feel like this $225 million budget, where did it go? You know, there's not much of the fictional countries that you see. You know, we get a rock quarry for most of it. You know, they just filmed on the cheap. And it's like, why is it a rock quarry? I don't understand. But okay, that's the part near the border, I guess. And sometimes it has that episode of TV feeling. Some of the sets and the set design. I think the set designer, unfortunately, not good. It's small. The sets kind of suck. And there's a random Comic-Con convention fight. They slam into this convention, and it's so indistinct. You can't even pick out what some of these posters are in this convention center. It's a little weird. It could feel more expensive. There are directors out there that are able to get the most out of their budget and I just don't know what happened there. The military of Barovia. Why do they say they want the streets to run with the blood of their enemies? And then no one fires a single shot from their guns. They just sit there and point the guns. This I can't excuse. This makes no sense. They fire one tank shot, but nobody fires. I guess they're about to fire, but nobody fires. They could have slaughtered them all. It's goofy. But the song selection, while initially the punk rock thing I said bothered me because I don't like punk rock, my feelings have evolved on it. Even the scene with Mr. Terrific, which is one of the best fucking scenes in the film. He is a show stealer. I want to see so much more of Mr. Terrific. James Gunn has nailed that character. That is like a 9, 10 out of 10 right there. But the music choice there, it's so goofy and seemingly out of place that I didn't like it. Love, love, love. All through our bodies. Love, love, love. Now, upon repeat watchings, it's a no, I still don't like it. But the second song, the you know, wanna be a rock star, that rocks the punk star.
I see you stagger in the street, and you can't stay on your feet.
Oh, I love it now. I fucking love it. And that actually can make me emotional because the words have completely new meaning in this song. Because of another through line throughout the film that really works. This idea that maybe being kind to people, being warm to people, you know, doing the right thing, that's the real punk rock.
And think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Maybe that's the real punk rock.
And for the song to tie into that, and if you listen to it and the song lyrics, I'm listening to the music with no fear. Like, this is, the music is being kind. The music is being the person that you are and this awesome person. And you're listening to that. You're tuned into it without fear. And that works perfectly. And you can hear it too if you're sincere. And you can be like this too. That's inspiring hope. That makes me want to tear up again. Because I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. And it's like you're owning it. You're proud of it. And this, even though I personally, you know, I'm very big into heavy metal, and I like rap, and I like all these other songs, and I like classical, I just not into, you know, punk rock. And I find it annoying sometimes, like the Crab Joys song later on. That's annoying. That's shitty. I think it's supposed to be shitty. Even Lois is like, they suck. So that's kind of, and James Gunn wrote that song himself too. Just say our name, boy. It's the mighty Crab Joys. I know you said. But I think it's kind of supposed to be hokey and cheesy. But choosing Iggy Pop, I never would have thought that motherfucking, you know, Iggy Pop, the Teddy Bears featuring Iggy Pop, punk rocker, would fit Superman so well. But it fits this version of Superman so well. And when that fucking logo smashes and it's the Superman logo and it fucking glows and the song is going, it fucking gets me, man. That shit is way up there. And so the emotional beats hit. And you would think that I've been repeat viewings of other things and the emotional beats hit less. And for some reason, the emotional beats in Superman hit harder and better.
I'm as human as anyone. I love, I get scared. I wake up every morning, and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other, and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time. But that is being human.
Upon repeat viewings. And that, for that, and for some of the other reasons, boom, +1 point, boom, +1 point. I'm at an 8 out of 10. And that my opinion has evolved. People's opinions and taste in movies can change upon repeat viewings. And I don't have the luxury of going back and telling you, oh, this one definitely went up, this one definitely went down. And there are some that I'm like, man, I don't know what I was. And my criticism has evolved since then, you know, when I was first starting out. But there are a few things that I still think hold it back. So I no longer, you know, I do think that the score itself is still weak. I would have preferred, you know, outside of the John Williams score, that they're reusing, it doesn't really feel like it has that identity. Iggy Pop and the Teddy Bears is their best one, right? In addition to their rendition of the John Williams, which is great as well. But it needed something like Man of Steel has ba-boom, ba-dum, and it's addicting, and so that is a far better score. But the song selection doesn't bother me as much as it once did. But again, the cinematography kind of holds it back a little bit from some of the fights, and you know, some of those combined issues. The evil Jor-El, I've evolved on that. The Lex depiction, I've evolved on it. I think that ultimately Nicholas Hoult shines through, and you know, I don't know why people, you know, are so upset when they see a man cry and it triggers something in them where they get angry and they say, this sucks, I hate it. I don't know. Those people are going to have to take a look at themselves and understand why that elicits that reaction in them, because I think that, you know, complaining about people crying as men is weird. You know, if you saw somebody, if you have a good heart to you and you're tuned into people have different personalities. People are more sensitive to things. And at one point, we see a guy, an innocent person, just shot in the fucking head right in front of you. And, you know, Superman lets out a blood-curdling, you know, scream like, no. But, you know, Metamorpho, Element Man, basically, it shocks him, and he's almost crying. And, you know, people are, like, bagging on that and ragging on it. And ultimately, I mean, not everybody has the same personality. And I think it's completely realistic for him to have that type of reaction, to see something like that in front of him. We don't know what fucking trauma he's been through in the past. Could have fucking triggered something that he's, you know, been through in the past as well. And then, you know, Lex has put everything into this plan. And at the end, when he's just like, it's a mixture of like holding back tears, but yet such anger and frustration and hatred that he's pouring into, that basically Superman has defeated him and embarrassed him once again. And you feel that hatred, and you feel that, you know, if Lex was ever given an opportunity again, he's gonna come at Superman hard. And this shit is awesome. But yeah, so I think that, you know, Superman is a little bit too meek. I want him to insert himself, but there's plenty of time for that in future films. So I need that a little bit of authority in his voice when you know, Guy Gardner kills a creature that we could have saved, and then have a talk with the team later on. Hey, I think there was other ways to solve this besides you just coming in and killing something. You know, I would have liked that a lot. And then, yeah, and I still don't like the fact that Krypto is Kara's dog. That's always been Superman's dog, only in recent stories, only to make the Woman of Tomorrow comic book work a little better. And you'll see why it works a little better with Krypto being Kara's dog, because basically that dog is going to help Kara transform from this fucking mess of a person. And what she goes through in Woman of Tomorrow makes her a more complete and rounded person, and Krypto is a part of that. And all this complaining about, oh, well, you know, we should be able to punch Krypto, and we should be able to do this thing with Krypto. Well, just wait, because I don't know how he's going to handle what needs to happen in the sequel, so that's coming. And I don't like it, but again, it's one of those things, if it serves a purpose and that purpose is really well executed and works, then I'm willing to, excuse it. And I think he knew that he's torn as well because he loves dogs. Obviously, Krypto was inspired by his own dog, who's a menace. But I feel like he knows it. He's like, yeah, I see that it's not, and I feel you, Joe, and that's why I'm going to throw you a bone, and at the end, I'm just going to put an image of him and Krypto, on the moon, watching the Earth, which, if we look at, actually has, oh no, I spilled something. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so I cleaned up. And then I also don't like, and then people are always bagging on the film. Oh, Superman gets his ass kicked the whole fucking film. It's like, God, Superman's weak. He always loses. To every battle, he gets his ass kicked. The only fight Superman lost in his entire career, because they said this is the first time he's ever lost in the opening. The only time Superman has ever lost in his entire career was to a clone of himself. He lost to himself. Not only was it losing to himself, and that's the one person he's allowed to lose to. Not only did he lose to himself, but somebody himself being controlled and supported and augmented by the second smartest guy on the planet, who spent 3 years developing perfect counters to Superman's moves and abilities that he has been studying for years and years before he hatched this plan. That doesn't sound weak to me. That doesn't sound too weak. Oh, Superman's too weak in this film. No, he's fucking not. Have you seen when he and that final fight, he is a slugger. He is brutal. He is beaten ass. And I thought it was well handled. Some people are like, I'm really upset. Is it just me or they make him look weak? It's like, pay attention. It's not fair because I've seen the film 4 times, and I'm sure if they had seen the film a little more, and it absorbs a little more, then I know it goes really fast, but upon second viewing, you'll understand it more. But there are certain things, again, in the film that don't improve upon second viewing. Eve is a ridiculous character and too much of a convenience and a joke. Kill Superman. For me, the Eve stuff, Lex's girlfriend, it's a little too convenient. It would have been better if they want to go that route and not give it to Lois Lane, picking apart Lex from the inside and discovering that with Jimmy's help, so still giving Jimmy something to do. I just think it would have been better if you wanted to keep the Eve thing, that she made a decision, horrified by him, to betray him. And not this idea, oh, she does, Joe. She calls her, I'm done with Lex. No, it's more, I'm done with him as a boyfriend and I'm coming to you. And she does it indirectly through selfies. I guess there's a small room for an argument. Oh, she knew what she was doing and she knew all that. But in the film, it's presented as if it just so happened, right? And so if they cleared that up, I think it would have been a little better. It needed to be brought forward more, because you can interpret it both ways, actually. Why does Lex let her take selfies of everything that he has? It's so fucking stupid. But I think what it's saying is that he has a weakness for women and dumb women. Maybe it's because he's so smart, and maybe it's even deeper than that he doesn't like smart women, and he doesn't like to be challenged by smart women. So he ends up with these dumb broads that do stupid shit and say stupid shit that pisses him off, because you see that ex-girlfriend in the prison. So he has a weakness for women. He's petty about it. But that, to me, is a character trait and a character flaw. Not necessarily so you can explain it and it not necessarily be fucking bad. But I do think it's a little too convenient. And then also, a lot of the action scenes are in extreme close-up. I need to bring it out a little bit. And, you know, initially the raptor fight at the end I thought was a CGI mess and it was dumb. But upon reading it, to see Superman do all these really badass spins that he does in the comics, and then the laser as he goes super fast, that initially wasn't all that great to me, but it's gotten better. And it's like, this is cool to see this, because we're at this level where you can do that and it comes across. And sometimes it kind of rubs you wrong the first way. Upon repeated viewings, I like it better. One thing that I don't like, though, is Hawk Girl. Hawk Girl killing the president of another country. It's too casual. It's too much like The Boys, like a parody. And I hope that Superman learns about this and has a talk with Hawk Girl. You know, if they're going to be, especially if they're going to be on the same team, we got to have a talk about, you know, killing people like this. And I know that she's her own character and she could do whatever she wants. Superman's not her fucking dad. And I get all those counter arguments, but I think Superman would have a problem with it. And if you start going around killing things wanton, Superman should confront you and show you and talk to you about there being a better way. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Those are all my thoughts upon second, third, fourth viewing. I have a few more, like another small little thing. Where did all the Kryptonite go? There was some in the prequel novel, which may or may not be canon. I'm starting to think it's not canon, because Otis in the prequel novel is more of a bumbling comedic, device, and he in the movie he's like a normal person. He acts normal. He's not a sidekick, bumbling idiot sidekick like the original Christopher Reeve films. Yeah. So, but that might not be canon. Because Kryptonite was powering Metallo in that novel. So Superman has encountered Metallo, and eventually Justice Gang helps him defeat Metallo. And if Justice Gang wasn't there, then Superman would have lost to Metallo. So actually that's not canon, since the film says the first time he ever lost was to Ultraman. So I guess the junior prequel novel is not canon. But so I guess in this continuity, where's all the Kryptonite? Who's collecting it? So maybe that's Brainiac. Maybe it's another faction we haven't seen yet. So that could be a story thing in the future. And finally, that 15-minute interview scene between Lois and Superman, I love it so much. It was such a bold decision. So few films have that, where so much of the film is devoted to it. It's almost like a third of the film or a fucking fifth of the film, because it's so long and allowed time to breathe. And look what happens when you allow a scene to breathe and you allow the motions to set in. It results in an I love you later on, and then a return of that love later on from Lois to Superman in this amazing kissing scene as they're flying upward. It is this burst of emotion. And when you're in a young relationship, a new relationship, and you have your first fight, I think it's relatable and it's interesting. These are two passionate people that are strong-willed and strong-headed people, and they have their own interpretation of these very complex events. And to me, that's passion, and that's love, and that's awesome. And the way it's depicted here, it's sad at first, and you don't want it to end like that, and it ends like that. And then they address we shouldn't have ended it like that. And it's well done, well executed, and then it's another well executed James Gunn through line. So you have James Gunn's parents and who Superman is and the decisions that he makes, that who he is, and then you have the punk rocker and being kind, and then you have the ideas of these this budding relationship maturing and understanding each other. And I think that works out. It is still left up in the air, a little bit, and it should be, because these are complex issues. It's not fully resolved. Is Lois still on board with all this? Superman making these geopolitical decisions for countries and to stop wars and stuff. And I do think that James Gunn will eventually address this, because it looks like he's setting it up maybe for Peacemaker, Rick Flag Sr., and talking about, well, at the end of the film, they're like, well, they did it. Now the superheroes are in charge of us. So I don't think that's a plot line that he's going to forget. It's going to be, in future films. So I know this has got a little rambly and stuff. but I wanted to put out all my thoughts and give examples of why I appreciate it more and why on repeat viewings I'm enjoying the things more. If it made you fall in love with Superman, this film's a 10 out of 10. But for me, you know, it has risen and the highest it's going to get ever for me, and I'm not going to evolve from here because I know what I like now and I know what I don't like because I've seen it so many times. It's an 8 out of 10. And I can see people being harder on it. I can see people rubbing the wrong way if they've only seen it once and then, you know, kind of flashes by and it's too Minecraft and it's, oh, Superman's not this and that. I can understand it going down, but it's not a bad film. It is such a crowd pleaser. It's such a feel-good film. And it's so rewatchable, guys. It's weird to me, you know, I think that I'd much rather we watch Superman multiple times than Fantastic Four. And it's weird because initially I thought Fantastic Four is kind of rewatchable, but it's kind of not. And it's crazy to me. I never thought that, you know, Superman would beat Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four, well, I think it should beat Fantastic Four. I'm a Superman fan. I'll be mad if it didn't. But Marvel, what I'm trying to say is Marvel has that built-up fan base, and you would think that, you know, with bigger name actors in it and more of a fan base that Fantastic Four was clearly going to be better. And at first it kind of looked that way because it was doing a little better internationally, but I think ultimately once that month was over, it was Jurassic Park at the top, Superman #2, and then you know, Fantastic Four. And it's actually done so well and made so much money now that it's actually surpassed Man of Steel domestically. It's even passed Batman v Superman domestically. And that is wild. The fact that, you know, Superman can beat Superman with Batman in it, and that film did so well, that means it is a wild success in the United States. And it has to be that James Gunn is a part of that. So domestic 335, Batman v Superman 330, Man of Steel 291. It's just that really hurtful international 42%. Imagine if the international was 62%. You know, like it would be that 500. It would be $544 additional million, and it would make $874 million. If it was as on fire as it was here domestically, this would be a $900 million film. It might have even, if it started rolling the way it did in the U.S. and other countries, it could have probably hit $1 billion Superman, which I never thought was possible. It isn't possible. It's not going to happen. And in my opinion, from here, the sequels are not going to do better. They're going to make less money. That's just the cynic in me. That's just the pessimist in me. You know, but I do hope that it does increase in the future. But I know already that Supergirl is going to make less. There's no way, you know, the side character is going to make more. And James Gunn and DCU and WB need to set their budgets and expectations accordingly. For God's sake, the last Supergirl only made $17 million total worldwide. Now, it's not going to be that bad, but still, you know, you can't expect too much. All right. I've talked way too long. I've rambled on way too long. Thank you so much for watching and understanding exactly what matters to me in a Superman film, and this film has it. It has heart. It has warmth. It's like a big warm hug from this massive, you know, like a big brother, and it's fucking sweet. And I love the film, and it works so much. I love the chemistry between Clark and Lois. And you know, in the future we can grow that Superman persona more, because if there's one other criticism I can have is that this is basically Clark Kent in a Superman outfit, and he's in one mode. He's in Clark Kent mode the whole time. the Kal-El mode's not really there. You know, James Gunn has undercut the Kal-El, especially with this storyline from Krypton. But maybe he can get in tune with that more when he starts to learn more from Kara, so that's still there. But that Superman persona hopefully can grow. He can start to assert himself and figure out, you know, things that he's cool with and not cool with. And we can get that as we go forward. We're getting a Superman 2. And because it's been successful in this, I think they're fast-tracking. And you can tell that he's going into production on the sequel in the not-too-distant future. And it's wild to me, but I think we're going Superman, Supergirl, Clayface. We're talking only movies, not the TV stuff. And then what's going to be the next year? I think they're going to be able to manage at least the second film towards the end of the year. They might be able to manage Superman 2 or Superman Saga. That is now a distinct possibility because of how well things went domestically. And hopefully in the future they can tailor to marketing and the stories and stuff to maybe find a way to appeal internationally. I know the Superman brand is tarnished, the American brand is tarnished, you know, internationally, but there might be other ways to get those international numbers up. All right, guys. That's enough for now. I will see you guys. If you like talking about Superman, we can talk about Superman. I'm obviously going to cover all of the news on DCU. So when things come up, I'd like to do more vlogs, little small news bits, if that's okay with you guys. And then obviously trailers for the movies and reviews for the TV shows and reviews for the movies eventually as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this big Superman fan with, you know, it's such a good time to be a Superman fan. We got good DC animation. We got good Superman live action. The only thing we don't have is good Superman video games. Why no Superman game? Kill Superman first, I have fun. And I'm hoping that we can add that soon, James Gunn. What's going on there? Let's get some DCU video games, and maybe that can knock off the funk that WB Games has been fumbling this whole fucking time. So, all right. Nuclear Man say thank you for watching the Angry Joe Show. Kill Superman, but first, I have fun.